Hello, I'm Paul Pluta, the method actor who plays Archibald Chesterfield III, AC3, also known as the Pontiff. And today I'm doing paid reviews. Remember, it's $20 for a paid review, $10 for a question. And remember, I try my best to answer these things as soon as I can. Sometimes I get a little bit sidetracked. Just work with me, not against me, big boy. Like, subscribe, and tell your friends about my videos. And remember, look in the description for 10 ways you can help me stay full-time on YouTube. Now, I've got an email in. This is from David. David wanted advice. Advice needed on cheapest way for an Australian to buy used Rolex and get the tax back if possible. Also, who is a good watch dealer in Australia for Rolex? Very good question. Okay, look, I got to tell you there, David, it's to claim the tax back, you've got to leave the country and you've got to have a tax invoice. So basically, it only applies if you're leaving the country and there's a limit. When you bring the goods back in, you're supposed to declare them and etc. What I've done for a lot of trips I've gone on is I've left the country, claimed the tax back, and I've flicked it overseas. So you've got to buy an item. See, second-hand goods and new goods, you get a tax invoice. So if you're buying it from somebody from the classifieds or from Gumtree, well, they're not going to give you a commercial tax invoice, are they? So it's only when you deal with dealers. And it's basically, you've got to fly out. So if you're not flying out, you're just doing it to do the tax. Oh, it can be nasty, especially if you leave the country, you claim the tax, then you get nabbed on the way back in because anything over $900, you got to declare. If you're traveling with another person, you could add your tax concessions together. Nearly $2,000 there. So that's sometimes what you can do. It can help subsidize a trip overseas. But you've got to understand, this is, to get the tax back, you've got to leave the country. And that's how it is for anyone. Now, sometimes the dealer's price isn't as cheap as buying it from the classified, so you've got to weigh it up. So that's basically, it's for people who leave the country and don't come back. Now, you're supposed to pay the tax in the country you go into, depending on which country that is. I've often gone overseas and flicked it because I've bought it with a bit of margin in it and I get the tax and it helps subsidize my exotic lifestyle. Now, as far as finding good dealers, who's a good dealer? There's many good dealers to deal with. Vintage Watch Co. is in Brisbane and Melbourne. They are excellent firm to deal with. I know Ronnie for years. Honest to the day is long. Great guy, great guys to deal with, and they've got a lot of viewers from my channel here. There's a lot of dealers. Melbourne has a lot of dealers. Brisbane doesn't have. Well, you got Ronnie. That's Vintage Watch Co. Harrington Antiques, he does a little bit in watches there. Sydney, you've got in the Strand Arcade, Vintage Watch Co. again. They got 2 stores. There's a few dealers there. Sydney's pretty tough. Sydney's a tough city. Let me tell you that there now. Melbourne seems to be the home where I've got a lot of dealers. There's many good dealers there. Many good dealers. I know Shawnee used to be Armadale Watch Gallery. Now he's called European Watch Co., I think he's called. And there's quite a few good dealers in Melbourne. A lot of good dealers. The Watch Gallery, watchgallery.com.au, thewatchgallery.com.au, Watch Trader, heaps and heaps of dealers in Melbourne. That seems to be, it's more of a classy capital than Sydney, which is more money orientated. So it depends whereabouts you are, but I can tell you this now. Rolex, buy a used Rolex from a dealer. You got to buy from someone you can trust. The whole point of buying from a dealer is you get that you may not be the expert. They've done the homework for you. They can steer you into good things at reasonable prices. That's the whole thing, David. You want to buy something well, then if you need to get out of it or you want to upgrade, you've got something that's worth something. So my advice to you is yes, get in touch, and I would highly recommend Vintage Watch Co. They are good people. Ronnie is a good bloke. Ronnie and Luke are good blokes to deal with, and I hope it helps there. But that's the tax. The tax only really applies if you're leaving the country. So is it worth doing it just for the tax? Not really. But for me, my exotic lifestyle, I leave the place, claim it. It can work in your favor. So there you go. I'm Archibald Chesterfield III, AC3. Tell me what you fuckers think of that.
We specialize here in pre-owned Rolex watches. Rolex watch is a very special timepiece, and we always do the servicing exactly as factory specifications. We buy a pre-owned piece and we put it into brand new condition. We have Rolex certified technicians working on that. We completely disassemble the piece. We adjust and polish and change every single part of the watch.
You have to have certified watchmakers that know what they're doing. If you have an expensive car, you're just not going to bring it to any mechanic that doesn't know what they're doing.
You spend $5,000, it's like if you put money in the safe deposit box. And 1 or 2 years from now, you will keep having your $5,000. We have to spend a lot of money to get all this equipment together, but makes me feel I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. It's not a question of money, it's my passion.
Jewelers on time, simply the best.